The next section is commodities, and again, we see the common structure on the left side. You'll get a chance to explore the different fields and get a sense for how we can include this information. In the case of the commodities, we have the most extensive menu that allows us to include names in all these different languages, and not only the names, but also all these variants. So this can really be a very multilingual way of keeping track of all these different products and medicines and plants and animals. Again, cross-references, movements. Here we also have something that is still sort of in a very tentative stage, but the idea that we can have commodities, the relationship between commodities. So let's see, let's try and do a search with one that has more information. The asterisk search is very useful. I had covered that in one of the earlier orientations. We actually have to go to search first. Okay. So this is the find menu. Let's try and find something that has a relation in it. And so we see here, right, related products. So this syrup, lemon syrup, and we have the ingredients, lemon, sugar, and apparently more sugar. Again, this is all very tentative at this point. We also have uses. So these can be medical and non-medical. So in this case, medical uses against diphtheria, gangrene, and scurvy. Okay, if we go on to the next part of the database, diseases. Again, the same structure on the left, cross-references. This case, diseases is a little bit different because it is connected to the China epidemics database, which if we look in this navigation menu here in the top left, we have China events connected here. And this doesn't really have a graphic interface yet, but we have over close to 15,000 records now of different kinds of calamities, from inundations, storms, typhoons, all kinds of different epidemics are recorded here. But we will need to work more on the graphic interface for when we have a new RA working on integrating this information, and a graphic interface that will be easier to use than just using the table view or using a table in Excel. But let's return to disease details. So China epidemics. Syphilis, we don't have information about China epidemics for syphilis, but let's do, again, the search with the mighty little asterisk. Perform a find here. And this takes us to the epidemics unspecified. We have not come up with a good name for this. This is just E, or Da Yi in Chinese. And here we see that there's 617 reports of this at the county level, starting from 1500 until 1680. Right? And this is a way, again, to access the layout with the reports. For example, this will take us directly to the report for an epidemic of unspecified nature in Jiangsu province. So here we go to this table, event reports that I showed you before. Okay, so that I think is what we have for diseases. This commodities section, commodities and diseases, is a connection for the medication that can be used to treat the diseases. So again, asterisk search to try and find a portal that has this information. And here we see, we return to syphilis and different medicines and botanicals that have been used to treat syphilis. So the next section is sources. And sources is, again, the same kind of structure on the left, but we have the basic details for what I call the short references. We will go back to that again as we create our movement. So in this case, the way in which we connect the references and the sources to the fields in the other different sections, the other different tables, is by using these references here, right, which are created semi-automatically from what we put in these main fields here at the top. Again, I will return to that. We have the option of adding links or adding attachments to these sources. And here it opens specifically, there is a viewer that goes to the Zotero Trans-Pacific Database Common Library that we have. So for example, this is an archival document. It is not in the library at this point. But we have here the Pacifico Hispanoamericano by Bonialian has this Zotero information that we can access on the right side, and that will be very handy. As we see, the way in which we make this connection is through the Zotero URI that we have here on this part of the screen. So the next section, this is sources. It's very important. We also have units here. And units will include currency and different kinds of measures and also different kinds of packing. So for example, cajones, we can see here. So this is a packaging a kind of unit that is for packaging, not necessarily a measure of weight or length. But for example, we have the picos here. And that is a measure of weight that we can see here. And I am using that because that one has, I've already entered some fields with what are the related units. So we can actually record here what the equivalences are. So this shows what one pickle is in caddies, which are these Chinese liang. What it is in pounds in Manila, which is different from the usual value of 133.33 pounds in the rest of Asia. But this is a very complicated measure, and it changes across different ports and different locations. But one thing that this portal allows us to do, for example, is to connect to the other units. So here we're connecting to caddies, right? And so we get to caddies here. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get these equivalences to show up in both records. We are still in the beta phase. So this is also an important thing to remind you. If you see anything that is not working, please keep track of that, write it down, so that we can work towards making this better. Because it doesn't show up in the other records, I have included this link that will show a table view. And in that table view, we see how many, one pickle is how many caddies, right? So the visual interface, the graphic interface is really useful, but in the end, for certain kinds of searches, the table views are the most powerful. Okay, so I think that that's enough as far as the different tables that we have and the movement detail tables there.